this?
I have a lot of theology around it, very little experience. And the experience that I have, it's making me question how much I really do.
The holy life that God has called us to live, it requires death. I mean, dying to self is no longer an obligation for me. It's an opportunity for me. It's an opportunity to become more like Christ. It's an opportunity to actually demonstrate my love for my wife.
It's a great amount of death to assess. It takes a great amount of death to communicate. But it also takes a great amount of death to surrender. As I'm hearing you talk, I'm like, man, this is uncomfortable.
It is. That's just about to say that.
And the reason
it's not manly.
Yeah.
There's a difference between dying to myself and neglecting myself.
My God.
You know what I'm saying?
God.
The greatest benefit of consistently dying to myself has been that I am more like Christ today than I could ever have been.
What is up, everyone? We are back with another episode of Shaping the Culture. Shaping the Code. What is up, everyone? We are back with another episode of Shaping the Culture podcast. Hope all is well with you all, family. Listen, we're back. Another week, another episode. I think that we're going to have a good conversation. We got a friend back on the pod. He was just here a couple of weeks ago. He's on sabbatical, so he has the time. We got none other than Pastor Israel with us.
I got the time, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah? What else do you got?
I got the Lord Jesus, man. That's it. That's the only secure thing in my life right now, man. I mean, it's the truth.
What would you mean by that?
I mean, I don't know, man. That's the only security that we have in this world, man. That Christ is Lord. He's on his throne.
It's fascinating what you have time to think of and the conclusions you make when you have the time to really think about things.
That's actually very true. It is. Yes,
I have nothing.
I have nothing other than the Lord Jesus Christ, man.
That's good. Well, we're glad to have you on this pod again.
Hey, man, I'm glad to be here, man. It's always an honor. I can't believe you invited me back, man. Every time.
Why do you say that?
I don't know, man. It's an honor to be here, man. Shaping a culture, bro. Yeah.
Well, we're here to talk about something fun, interesting.
Yeah, man.
I think much
Fun?
needed. Fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Not fun to live.
Yo, ooh. That should be the title. Well, that should be the title of this video.
What?
Fun to talk about, not fun to live.
That's it. It's easy to preach it.
Yes. Come on.
Very easy to preach it.
Come on.
It's very hard to live it. You know what I'm saying? It's really easy to make a podcast episode about.
That's true.
The effort it's going to take for us to talk about this it pales in comparison
100%.
to the effort it's going to take and it takes to live this out.
Amen, man. Amen.
Well, here's what I'll do. You guys already know what we're talking about. You saw the thumbnail. You saw the title. We're going to talk about what it looks like for men, particularly husbands, to die and to die well in marriage. And I just got here. I'm 5 minutes in, so I'm not going to say much, but I've just a sliver of.
I think you have a lot of knowledge, brother. You're a pastor for a long time, so you pastored a lot of husbands and wives through this.
I have a lot of theology around it, very little experience. And the experience that I have, it's making me question how much I really do. I don't got it, bro. I don't got it.
That's why I say we need Jesus, brother. That's the only secure thing we have is Jesus.
That's all I
got. I mean, yeah.
Well, here's what I want to do. I want to set this up by asking tell us how long you've been married for, and then tell us your relationship with this idea of death and what that has looked like for you, and then we'll get into maybe what that looks like for you now and how you struggle with it. But yeah, how many years have you been married and your relationship with death?
Yeah. Well, I've been married for 10 years. We just celebrated 10 years this year.
Old man.
I know. I look young. Black don't crack, but I've been married for 10 years to my lovely wife, Ray. And yeah, I mean, the idea of death was not even in my vocabulary in the first 6 years of my life. You know what I mean? Not my life, my marriage, because the first few years, we were kind of the only ones married in our friend group. Not a lot of people we didn't, we didn't have mentors. Unfortunately, we didn't have people to like look up to. We didn't have people who taught us the value of marriage in a godly way. We didn't have a lot of examples.
Yeah.
And this was because we didn't set ourselves up for that. We were very young when we got married, and we just didn't have a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
So because, and if we had wisdom, obviously if we had wisdom, the idea of death would have been, you know what I mean, the first thing that I should have learned. Because that, brother, like death is, I think I've always, obviously I knew the idea of dying to yourself in the context of our faith.
Yeah.
Right. That's the crux of our faith here on earth, like living our life for Christ. We die to ourselves. We were studying the words of Jesus, studying scripture. I mean, it's very clear that there is, the idea, in order for us to live a life that the holy life that God has called us to live, it requires death. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, the gospel required death, that Jesus had to die. You know what I mean? So the idea of death itself is not new. That is very, in fact, I mean, you can get into a whole thing of like how, the idea, a lot of people don't know how to even apply the gospel to marriage, right? Let alone even know what the gospel is and all of that. Does that make sense? So it's like the idea of death is not new, but how we actually apply the theology and how we actually apply the things that we learn through scripture in our life, in our day-to-day life.
Yeah.
I think that's the part that's really hard for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, you said something profound. You talked about how you don't really have an understanding of what it looks like to die as a man in marriage if you first have not fully understood the gospel.
Yeah.
Because the gospel is the picture. The gospel is, for us, the example of what it looks like to die well, and to die consistently.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and as well, like into that too, like just even the fact that like marriage even requires the husbands to die, that even idea, I didn't learn until like, again, 4 or 5 years into our marriage.
Break it down. Like, if it's not too personal, like what happened that led you to realize you didn't understand?
Yeah.
And what did it take for you to understand?
Yeah. So our first like 6-7 years of our marriage was really hard, like really hard, because we were very young. Like I said, we were very young, and we didn't take the time. It wasn't the age. It's not the age that made it hard. It was the fact that like at that age that we got married, we didn't have the wisdom to work on figuring out our own personal identity before we got married. You know what I mean? And so because a lot of our identity was wrapped up in each other, and a lot of our worth and value was wrapped up in one another, my value was wrapped up in her, and her value was wrapped up in me and what I thought about her. My value was wrapped up in what she thought about me. You know what I mean? So that was what set us up for a lot of the hardship that we faced, because if I was mad at her, if she did something wrong, she would respond with shame and guilt, because everything, again, her value and worth was wrapped up in what I thought, what I believed about her, and vice versa, And so that was why our marriage was really hard. And we also didn't have we didn't have a community that was married as well. So we were doing a lot of these things on our own. We were figuring it out on our own. And again, I grew up in a culture. I mean, we always talk about this in the Ethiopian culture. Like, we grew up in a culture of like hush hush, like don't tell nobody what you're going through, da da da. So that was like really hard, Or like if I was going through it, and I was vulnerable, and I would tell my single friends or my friends who were in relationships or may not be godly, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so those are, I think, the different factors. And at the time, my pastor had moved to plant a church, so we were all kind of the leaders, and we didn't have like a shepherd to shepherd us through the season too. You know what I mean? So that was a huge part of it. We didn't have someone. We were all like the oldest people in our church, and we were all the leaders. And we, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We just kind of we just had to figure out a lot on our own.
Yeah,
made it really hard.
Yeah. So you said something about how you got your guys' identities was wrapped up in what you guys thought about each other. And you shared how with your wife, maybe shame and guilt got in the way. For you, what about you placing your identity in what you thought, what your wife thought about you, hindered you from dying the death that you needed to die to lead in the way God's called you to lead?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think
we're going to get personal.
Yeah, for real. I think for me personally, I was a people pleaser. So I just wanted her to be pleased, you know what I mean, in every way. Sometimes dying to yourself means that sometimes this is tough. So because it would be actually the opposite in the sense that like when I was dying to myself, there's a difference between dying to myself and neglecting myself.
My God.
You know what I'm saying?
Good God today.
Yeah. You know, like there's a difference between dying to myself and neglecting myself. Because I was a people pleaser, I wasn't dying to myself. I was neglecting myself. I wasn't advocating for my needs. I wasn't communicating my needs even, because if she wanted to go somewhere, but that I didn't want to go, in my mind, I thought dying to myself, I was a very sacrificial person, but not in a way that, in a very self-centered, prideful way of like, if I was to sacrifice, she would like me more. You know what I mean? Like if I was to give this up, the thing that I want up, she's gonna be more happier. And it actually hurt me, and it actually hurt our relationship and our marriage, because I was bottling up a lot of the things that I felt for the sake of her happiness or whatever. And so that is not dying to my, so that's what prevented me from actually dying to myself. It was the neglect of me, you know what I mean? And the neglect of like, my needs, my feelings, everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Bro, this is so deep. We can take it so many levels. And I think because we have some history, like I hear what you're saying. I hope people are picking up what you're putting down. But I think the reason why that's instrumental is because I think as men, I think it's natural for us to just, all right, I'm going to keep this to myself. I'm just going to shut up. I'm not going to express how I feel. I'm not going to share my need. I'm not going to express my desire. I'm not going to show any displeasure with something because maybe we don't feel like it's safe. Maybe we don't feel like it's welcome. Maybe we don't feel like it's going to be respected or seen or understood. And what ends up happening is, to what you're talking about, there's a persona of death. On the outside looking in, it looks like you're dying to yourself. But really, like, you're not dying to yourself to serve God. In a lot of ways, you're neglecting yourself in worship of image, perception, acceptance. And so you don't really get to the root of the problem, because you're not really addressing the real thing. It's almost performative. Yeah,
it is.
What kind of woke you up out of that? Like, what had to happen? And when you actually started the journey of dying for real, what major differences did you see between like the performative death and the actual death?
Yeah, what woke me up is probably church planting. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we church plant, being in ministry,
Yeah.
you know, I think made me realize, like, it made me realize that, because when we planted our church, we didn't want to plant a performative church, you know what I mean? And my faith wasn't performative. Like my faith alone with God, like my personal faith with God, was not performative. I grew up in a very performative culture, so I wanted to stay away from that as much as possible.
Yeah.
And so because of that, like, it made me realize, me neglecting myself was like very performative. Like, it was fake. You know, it wasn't real. Like it was me, like, I would hang out with my friends and I would complain about the things that I was going through. I would be bitter, and I would actually have bitterness in my heart towards my wife. You know what I mean? I would have anger that was unresolved towards my wife, and so I think, like, for me, through a bunch of different events in our marriage, that just like woke me up to say, like, you know what, I'm actually not, I'm not okay, like, you know, and so what we finally, during the pandemic, actually, we ended up doing couples therapy, and couples therapy was significantly helpful to us because it helped me uncover the fact that not only was I hiding in my marriage, there was a lot of things that I've suppressed in my life from my childhood. There was a lot of things about my childhood that I didn't know about. There were so many things that I suppressed, thinking that I was just, again, sacrificing, you know, for other people. But I realized, even like my deep sense of people pleasing, that came from, you know, again, my therapist really helping me realize how much of an idol people, you know, the idea of like pleasing people was in my life. So I think, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah,
for sure. No, I think that's good. And I think that's helpful. And I think, like, it's real, you know, it's like, this is like experience. This is something you lived out. And I think that, man, I hate to say, like, oh, this is every guy's issue, or this is like what every man struggles with. But I do hear a lot of men talking about they don't feel like they can feel. They don't feel like they can exist in the way that they desire to. And the flip side of that, or the opposite side of that, is abuse. Like, there's like neglect, and then there's like abuse. They're both forms of abuse, but one is more aggressive, one is passive. And this like passive approach to, like, I'm doing this and she doesn't see it. And, they don't see how I'm doing that. And, you know, it really doesn't become about dying to self. I know for me personally, I've been only in it for like 3 minutes, but one thing that I've learned about myself is that it's one thing to die to self in a church community as a pastor. It's one thing to die in a friend group. It's a whole nother thing to die with your spouse. And because the problem is, like, how often do you actually die to self in a church community? Even if, like, it's multiple times on a Sunday, it's like one day a week versus like multiple times
24/7.
7 days a week, 365. There's no turning on and turning off. There's no clocking in, clocking out. There's no, I'm gonna go home, I'll see you next week. There's no, hey, like, you really annoyed me, but I'm gonna go sleep this off. It's like you're sleeping with the person you're trying to sleep it off from, you know. And I've realized, like, I'm realizing, I should say, that, man, patience and how do I say this? It's you need more of God to help you die in a way that's consistent, because you could think you're killing it with the death game until you realize, like, you're not really dying to self. You're like, you're okay with X amount of times
Yep.
the line being crossed. And as soon as X amount of times that threshold is met, then all hell breaks loose. And so you're not really dying to self as much as you're actually just counting how many times somebody could do you wrong or make mistakes, things like that. And in that, I'm uncovering that, man, like I need to learn. This is what I liked about what you said initially. I need to learn more about the gospel, because like Jesus doesn't keep count, and Jesus is consistently sacrificing and has sacrificed everything to like love me and choose me. And so I kind of wanted to ask you, like, as you kind of took the turn in 2020, as you're getting counseling, things like that, what about dying did you need to relearn?
Yeah. I was actually, as you were talking, I was saying, I think it'd be helpful if we help define for people what dying to self means versus neglecting yourself or versus anything else that, you know, resembles us. So to me, dying to self means to be able to die to the things that the culture exalts, like pride, ego, selfishness, the self-centeredness. The best way I in the context of marriage, what that looks like, I think, is what I always, when I counsel couples, the biggest thing that I always tell people is, like, when you are in communication with your spouse, your goal is not to be understood. It is not to be understood. Your goal is not to help the other person understand you. Your goal in communication is to understand them in any like relationship, really. So if both of your goals is to understand one, like you're putting 100% of your effort to try to understand that person,
that's good,
then both of you will end up walking away being understood, right? And so the dying to self is dying to that desire to want to be understood. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like that is what is really hard to do. And so when you understand that dying to yourself is being able to be willing to give up what would make you look good, you know what I'm saying? Like what would make you look like you're on top, like that desire to want to always look, whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, that is what it means to die to yourself. That dying to the desire of wanting to make yourself at the throne and the center of your life. That is what that means. And I think this world, the culture teaches you that you have to be at the center of your marriage. You have to be on the throne of your marriage. And even as a man, what the world teaches is the man, though we are the husband is the head of the household, that what that means is to dominate, to make sure that you are at the top, that you're always right, that you're always gonna like everyone's gonna obey you if they don't obey. You know what I'm saying? Like that's and that's really not at all how the Bible and Jesus defines what it means to be a husband or a man, right? It's to be able to actually live in humility. It's to actually be, I mean, what Jesus did, what it says in Ephesians 5 is that husbands to love your wife as Christ loved the church. How did Christ love the church? He died an innocent man's death. You know what I mean? For the church. Are you willing to die an innocent man's death for your wife? Right? Are you willing to give up being right for the moment to understand your wife for the moment?
Yeah, that's where we. So this is where it gets tricky. So it's easy to articulate that, but like in the moment, to die to the need to be right. Yeah. My question is, like, I know you're about to define for us what it means to neglect self, but I could see a very like slippery slope. I could see
the line is thin.
The line is very thin. What does it look like to not neglect yourself, all at the same time die to the need to be right?
A perfect example, I think, would be by how you communicate. I think that how you communicate is, I think, a great way. The easiest way for me to communicate my feelings, personally for me, is by just blurting out my feelings immediately. Just boom. You know what I mean? Whether it's through anger, whether it's through sadness, whether it's through whatever, just blurting it out without thinking, without really processing what I'm feeling, without really, it's just blurting it out. I'm just boom, like I'm angry, like like yelling or whatever it is, That's the easiest way for me to do it. But dying to self means you're choosing the narrow path. You're choosing the harder path. What the harder path for me personally is to think through what I need to say. I'm very impulsive. You know that about me. I'm very impulsive. We actually had this discussion yesterday. Like sometimes I say things impulsively without really thinking through something. And so for me, if I feel neglected, the easy thing for me to do is to react to my neglect, to the feeling of neglect, and respond with anger or sadness, whatever it is. The way that I could do to die to myself is to say, okay, you know what? I feel neglected. Let me process what I'm feeling first. Let me process what I'm feeling. Well, I feel like every time this is a very simple example, but every time we go on a date night, we always go with what she wants, where she wants to go, rather. And again, this is very small, but just as clear, for the conversation's sake. So for me, it's like, okay, what does that make me feel? Okay, well, that makes me feel like what I want doesn't matter. I feel like my voice is not really as important to her. It feels like what I want, what I want is not as important for her. Or I feel like my desires are really not accounted for at all, it makes me feel kind of undervalued. You know what I mean? Okay, process that on my own, maybe process that with, a friend, and then being able to talk to her and say, hey, can I talk to you about something? Because for me, the easy way out is when we're in the middle of an argument that has nothing to do with my feeling. And I think, again, we talked about this yesterday too, like the feeling that I've been harboring a long time just comes out in the middle of an argument that has nothing to do with my really feeling. It just triggers something in there. And that's, you know what I'm saying? Rather than actually in the middle of argument, rather than if I feel something, not reacting to that, but just saying, you know what, let me just pause real quick. Let me listen. Let me try to understand this. And then when it's my turn to explain or respond, or even maybe another time to say, okay, hey, I processed this. Here's what I processed. Hey, when we go out to dinner or, whatever, our date night, I don't feel valued because we're oftentimes going with what you want, and I'm not ever asked, what I want to eat, what I'm craving, what I want to do. You know what I mean? So that makes me feel very devalued. That doesn't make me feel like you value my opinion. Doesn't make me feel like you value what I want. And again, that's not as,
dude.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's also, I mean, as I'm hearing you talk, I'm like, man, this is uncomfortable.
It is. That's I was just about to say that.
And the reason
it's not manly.
Yeah,
it's not like manly to say it. Like it's not manly to value to take stock of to take inventory of your feelings. That's not manly. What like?
And it's like really awkward because it's also not manly to communicate after you've taken stock.
Exactly.
Because now it's like I'm gonna look like I have needs.
A punk, yeah.
God forbid.
God forbid I have needs.
Right, but that's another thing like culturalized. I was like, yo, you're good, you're self-sufficient, you're strong, you got this. It's like, but it's like, no, like it's also, there's a level of death that's taking place. To your point, take stock, take time, pray, process, journal, whatever it is you got to do. But then to be like, hey, some of us, it takes a great amount of death to be like, can I talk to you? When you did this, this hurt my feelings. When you said it this way, I felt X, Y, Z. I felt hurt, I felt hurt. And I think that's like, man, there's a lot of death.
Yeah, it does, bro.
For a man that needs to take place.
Yeah.
To do that, yeah.
But when you think about the gospel, I mean, the gospel requires us to be to be dependent on God. The gospel requires the requirement for the gospel to accept the gospel is actually insufficiency, inadequacy. That's the requirement to accept the gospel and to actually see the demonstration of the power of the gospel in your life is actually your own inadequacy. And so, and your own insufficiency. And so that should have helped me practice what it looks like to die, to myself in marriage. Yeah. But because I did not actually, and this is where a lot of Christians we actually don't know how to apply the gospel in our life, in our day-to-day life. Therefore, we are shocked when, like when we get married and we have to die to our flesh, what our flesh desires. You know what I mean? My flesh desires for me to, again, be the center, and so when there's another person that comes into my life that also has a fleshly desire to be the center, man, there's a lot of friction there. Yeah. And that's why marriage is hard. You know?
Yeah. No, that's good. You said a lot of good things, and I think that's like really helpful. I guess my question would be then, in light of all that, I think, and this is just to kind of like talk about maybe some of the things I wrestle through and things that we've talked about. It takes a great amount of death to assess. It takes a great amount of death to communicate. But it also takes a great amount of death to surrender. Yeah. Because like what happens when you do the processing, you do the communicating, and you don't yield the results that you want. I think like another thing we've got to talk about as men is like what it looks like to let God fight our battles. What it looks like. I just read that today. What it looks like. I think sometimes like, and that's why I was interested in this idea of like, what does it look like to die versus what it looks like to neglect? Because it could really easily look like you're neglecting when you're surrendering. But those are two separate things. And maybe I want to ask you, take it a step further. What's the difference between neglecting and surrendering? Because there does come a time where you have to let God do what only He can do.
That's tough. That's a good question. Enduring is part of the Christian life. You know what I mean? If you're a Christian and you have never had to endure, or you barely have to endure anything, are you really living for Christ? For real? Like, I'm not just talking about like persecution, which obviously in America, I mean, brothers and sisters, if you're claiming to be persecuted in America, I mean, come on. Anyway,
I got a verse I'm pulling up. Go ahead.
But I think in order for us to surrender, we have to just learn how to endure, bro. Like we have to learn how to endure what it means to, like the example you said, like you did the processing, you did the communication, and it doesn't yield the result that you want, which is for you to be understood. What that means is in marriage, specifically in the context of marriage, you just have to continuously, patiently communicate and patiently patiently communicate with your spouse, but also pray and fast. If you've done everything right, the next thing you do is, okay, well, this is not something that I can fix. This is something that the Lord has to quite literally fight for me. And the way, how do we fight our battles is through prayer and fasting. That's where we fight our battles. And so how often, let me ask you, like, how often have you prayed and fasted for your spouse? How many times how many weeks, how many days have you went without food and praying and calling down heaven to say, God, like, change the heart of my spouse, or change the my heart to, make me patient. I find myself like dying to yourself is not, dying to yourself is not just finding issues. It's not finding issues with that other person. It's also being able to say, oh, what are the issues in me that God, you need to weed out? What are the things that so maybe it's patience. And so you're asking yourself, you're asking the Lord, during that time of fasting and prayer, Lord, like wring this sin out of me, you know what I mean? Or maybe show me what sin that I'm struggling with in this too.
Right.
And so to me, I think to answer your question, I think it's through prayer and fasting, and it's through, again, continuously and patiently communicating with your spouse.
Yeah, that's good. I think of Romans 5, verse 3, it says, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, which is crazy. It says we also glory in our sufferings because we know this is what suffering produces. Suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. Yeah. And the reason why I love this passage is because suffering has an assignment. And it's up to you and I to decide if we're going to submit to that assignment.
Right.
I've said this many times in the past. I'll say it again. James 1, consider it pure joy.
Yep.
When you go through all
trials of many kinds.
James is not saying, delight in suffering. He's saying delight in what suffering produces. Yeah. So in the same way,
maturity in James.
Yeah, maturity. Yeah. And now in Romans chapter 5, Paul is saying, hey, suffering is going to produce some perseverance. Perseverance is going to produce some character, and character is going to produce some hope.
Yep.
And I feel like sometimes when we feel hopeless, it exposes our lack of character.
Yeah, that's good.
And our lack of character exposes that we haven't been persevering, and we haven't been persevering because we have not submitted to the assignment of our suffering.
Yeah.
And I think like when we give up hope in our relationship, when we give up hope in our own sanctification process, when we give up hope in our partner's sanctification process, it's really communicating that we want to be the author of the suffering in our life, and we don't want to submit to what God wants to accomplish.
Of course.
And because of that, we find ourselves robbing God of his glory and delaying our process, and then finding ourselves in seasons that are unnecessary because we would not submit to the purpose and the assignment of suffering in our life. We need to lean into what God is doing. And the moment we lean out, we miss out on what God is ultimately
100%.
doing. And so for me, I'm like, all right, Lord, if I feel hopeless, I've got some character flaws.
Yeah, man.
If I got some character flaws, I have not been submitted and I've not been persevering. Like I hate it, bro. Like I hate, when we work out, I hate sometimes the process of getting stronger because it's uncomfortable. Painful. And it's so much easier to, like we were doing bench press, like it was so much easier to just take weights you're comfortable with and do like 20 reps and call it a day. But it's a whole nother thing to be like, all right, Israel, can you spot me? I'm gonna do weights I've never done before. Yep. All right, like, dang, I'm gonna look stupid because I only do 2 reps. Yeah. But next time it's going to be 3.
Yes,
next
sir.
time it's going to be 4.
Yes, sir.
I just don't want to put myself under weight that's too heavy because I don't want to look like I'm not as far along as I am.
Yeah, that's good,
I'm
bro.
uncomfortable with not putting up as many reps as I'd like to if I put on. And like, what if like the weight that you're put under in marriage as a man is calling you to greater death?
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
That's bro. You don't know endurance until you get married, for real, bro. For real. Like, we are so scared to endure, bro. Like, we want things quick. And again, of course, social media, all these things, like just instant gratification, like all that. We already know that. But like, what we don't understand, what we underestimate is how much we avoid enduring because of that.
Right.
We avoid enduring. We have, like, in every aspect of our life, we want the easy way out. We want the quickest meal to cook. We want the quickest way to get abs. I mean, that's why if you look on YouTube, your YouTube algorithm, a lot of it is how to do this in less than 6 months, how to do this in less than 30 minutes. You know what I mean? All these things because we want things really quickly, but that's just not how the gospel works. You know what I mean? The endurance requires you to endure things that are uncomfortable. And for us as men, dying to yourself means evaluating your emotions. That is a death to self. It means to be able to communicate your emotions. You know what I mean? It's to be able to be confident knowing that, you know what I'm saying? Just because you have certain feelings, it does not take away certain real feelings, that it doesn't take away from your manhood. You know what I mean? In fact, I think my wife has respected me more and has, I think has had more reverence towards me when I'm able to communicate clearly what I am experiencing or feeling. You know what I mean? Because she's like, whoa, she knows how much that takes for me to do. And she knows how much death that takes to do for me. That doesn't come naturally for me to control, have that kind of self-control. Right. And to actually be able to say, you know what, let me pause, let me think, let me evaluate, and then let me communicate. Like that process takes so much work and it's very uncomfortable, bro. And we have to be willing to do that because the Christian life, like, man, in community, having good friendships, having authentic friendships, all that takes endurance. All that takes, like, man, I feel uncomfortable for a really long time. You know what I mean? But like you said, I love what you said. Like, and I'm gonna have hope. I'm gonna have hope that the Lord is sanctifying me. The Lord is sanctifying my wife. I'm gonna have hope that we are being sanctified in our marriage. That we are becoming more like Christ. You know what I mean? That we're becoming more humble and so forth. And so. Yeah, I think part of the neglect aspect too is like making sure you're not doing it on your own. You know, you have friends, you have community, you have your pastors or whatever, your shepherds, your best friends to be able to like walk with you through endurance too. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. Working out is so much better with someone else. I mean, you know what I mean? Because you have that person to help you endure.
You actually get stronger.
Yeah, you do, bro. And you go further.
Yeah. You know, as we're kind of like landing the plane here, I feel like we could talk about the struggles of dying to self and the process of dying to self and maybe the obstacles to dying to self. But what I want to do is I want to ask lastly, and maybe, I mean, we don't have to, just because this last question doesn't mean we got to wrap it up right now, but I want to ask, what are the benefits to dying to self? Like, how has picking up your cross and dying to yourself? I remember like talking to you at the gym the other day and I was like, bro, you've been doing this for 10 years. It's crazy. That's a long time.
It is.
And, you know, I was like processing some of the things I'm wrestling through and I'm like, man, I'm only like 3 months in. Imagine like doing this for 10 years, you know? And I want to ask, like, what has it produced in you? What has it produced through you? What has it produced for you? And how have you and your marriage thrived as a result of it?
Yeah. It's a great question, bro. I have to lean in on this one. I'm just kidding.
Clip this one.
I think the greatest benefit of consistently dying to myself has been that I am more like Christ today than I could ever have been if I wasn't dying to myself. Again, another silly example is I hated sharing when I first got married, sharing food. I mean, you know what I mean? When we, on one of our first dates, me and my wife went, before we got married, went on, was in a group date, actually. It was a group hangout. And we got into a legitimate, straight up legitimate argument off of some fries. She wanted some of my fries.
I feel like a lot of my friends have gone through this. You're not the first one I've heard about.
Brother,
French fries have
French
really
fries,
divided
bro.
the house.
Yeah. You know, and I asked her in the beginning, do you want to order just another side of fries? Because she wasn't getting fries. She was getting something else. She's like, no, I'm okay. I was like, okay, but these are my fries.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, that's cool. As soon as the waiter brings the fries, what happens? She asks, I see her little fingers. Just trying to, you know what I'm saying, sneak into my fries. I'm like, okay, hey, you know what, babe? Let's just get the waiter. Let's get another order of fries. She was like, I just had 2. I'm like, yeah, but I know you're going to have more. Anyways, we got into a fight. And legitimate, like, we had to step outside. Our friends were like, yo, this is this is kind of ridiculous, man. Y'all really fighting over some fries? Yeah. And I was like, it's the principle. It's not the fries, it's the principle, brother. You know what I mean?
Anyway. Be a person in your word.
For real.
You say you don't want fries? Yeah. I'll reach for fries.
Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway.
Won the fight, lost the person, huh?
Yeah, I mean, really. Yes. But I say that to say that today, I share my fries. I share my fries.
Hey, yo. I was so anticlimactic. I was ready to hear the inner working of the fight. I wanted to hear the nuance of the disagreement.
Bro.
I wanted to hear how you were confronted and you
man, we're trying to land the plane here, brother. Like I'm trying to land the plane. No, but really, I'm more generous today. I'm serious. Not just what I'm saying, but in every aspect. Like I didn't grow up in a very generous family. My wife did. You know what I mean? And so I'm more generous because of that. I am more giving. I am more patient. You know what I mean? I'm less impulsive. You know what I mean? I have all these characteristics that I am building in myself, that God is building in me through the sanctification process of marriage. You know what I mean? And so for me, bro, the man that I was when I got married is not the same man that I am today. And I am more like Jesus, bro. Like I'm way more loving. I'm a much better listener, you know what I mean, than I was before. I'm a better pastor because of my marriage. You know what I mean? I'm a better father because of my marriage. Like and when I say because of my marriage, because of the hardships of my marriage, because of the hard things that I've went through in my marriage, that my wife has been, she's the same way, you know what I mean? And so we're consistently becoming more, and oh my gosh, and I'm so much more in love with my wife, bro. I'm so much more in love with my wife today than I was ever before, because I was like, because I'm no longer neglecting myself. Now I'm being addressed. Now I'm being, you know what I mean? I'm standing up, like I'm advocating for myself, and she's advocating for me. You know what I mean? And she's advocating for me. She now thinks about what I want to eat before she thinks about what she wants to eat first, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are more in love with each other than ever before because we were able to endure. We didn't give up. And there was a lot of moments where we could have given up in our marriage. And maybe, another time we can have her on it to share her kind of her. Because, I wasn't as maybe vulnerable, you know what I mean, today, because I really want her to be here for that. But I really just think that I'm a better man, I'm a better husband, better pastor, better friend because of the endurance and the death that it required for me to die. It taught me, marriage really brought the gospel to life for me too. Right? Like, it really showed me, like, wow, Christ, like, Jesus, this is what you do for your church. This is really what you did for your church.
This
like,
what you do for me?
Yeah, nice. This is what you do for me. Like, this is what, when I've, you know what I'm saying, like, disrespected, when I have sinned against you, when I've rebelled against you, this is, you continue to push through that for me, you know what I'm saying, because you love me, and you did this because of love, not because of obligation. Like, you're not dying because you're obligated to, you're dying because you have an overflow of love that you want to give. I need to get there. So it makes me want to love my wife better. Like, it makes me, that's the other, again, we can go into another thing, but like, that's the other thing is like, dying to self is no longer an obligation for me. It's an opportunity for me. It's an opportunity to become more like Christ. It's an opportunity to actually demonstrate my love for my wife.
That's good.
To show her how much I love her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
And I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, of course it is. And I'm really, really encouraged. And it's just another reminder, like, if, as a Christian, if you are not in love with Jesus and you do not desire to become more like Jesus, then, like, the goal of marriage will be subpar to you. Like, I hear a lot of people now talking about, like, especially, like, I'm guilty too. Like, you're in your 30s, like, I got to get married. Like, I've been waiting, I need to have sex.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I need to get married because, like, my biological clock is ticking. I need to get married because, like, I need somebody to go on this vacation with. I need to get married because I need a +1 to this wedding. I need to get married because, like, taxes. I've heard people be like, I need a tax break. I need a spouse.
California, man, it's nice. I'm telling you, man.
I'll find out.
Yeah, you'll find out, brother. You'll see.
And bro, we'll miss it if you have not and if I have not been rocked by the gospel, and if I don't desire to be more like Jesus, I will neglect the call to die in the way he's called me to die, because I don't desire to be like the person that captivated my heart.
Yeah.
And like I've even had to ask myself the question, like, am I really in awe of what he did for me?
Yeah.
Like,
on the cross.
am I truly grateful, or am I entitled to it?
Yeah.
He better give me grace. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like him, but he,
Yeah.
Or am I moved? Am I still moved by the love of God? And if you are not moved by the love of God, you will not be moved to love in the form of death, not just with your spouse, but with anybody else. And so for me, I like that how you said that, like, the biggest reward, the greatest benefit has been becoming more like Jesus. Like, if the greatest reward in marriage, in business, in life is not, I want to be like Jesus, we will completely miss the point of any and everything that he's entrusting us with.
Bro, our entire life as believers, our main goal, primary goal in life is to become like Christ. So everything we do, everything we pursue, every job we pursue, every relationship we pursue, everything we pursue should add to that goal of, will this make me more like Christ? And that's how we know we often, and if we ask ourselves, will this make me more like Christ? More often than not, we'll have to choose the narrow road rather than the wide road.
That's right.
We'll have to, because the things that will make you more like Christ are the things that are a little bit harder.
Yeah, takes a long way.
Takes a longer way. You know what I mean? And so we have to be willing to say that we have to be willing to make that the primary goal of your life is to be like Christ. And if you are saying that is the primary goal of your life, then I promise you, marriage, I think, will actually be way more fruitful early on if that's your primary goal. You know what I mean? Because it will absolutely make you like Christ. And you won't, like, it won't be tempting to just take the easy road out. Or the easy way out. You know?
We could easily do another hour on this. I feel like we just scratched the surface. This was edifying. This is good and challenging, thought-provoking, and humbling. So appreciate you sharing from your wisdom and your experience, and thank you for laying out for us not just the art of dying, but how you were able to connect it back to the gospel, which is that's it right there. We don't have the gospel, we don't got anything else. And so that's all I got for today. You got any thoughts?
Yeah, I not a thought, but I just love what you said. Like, it does make us in awe of who God is and his love. I don't know if we should end it off with this statement, but doesn't that make you want to, like, submit to him a little bit more when you're in awe of his love?
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot easier to submit to.
Yeah. It's easier to submit to someone you trust. And I think some of us think that we trust God simply because we're in the faith. Yeah. But, like, our understanding of God's grace is, like, this shallow, like this deep. And I think the point of Christianity isn't over time to go and say, look how better I am. Look how far I've come along. I think that's part of it. I think the point of Christianity is, as you journey in your faith, the need for grace grows. Meaning, like, the more you come in contact with God's love and his goodness, the more you see him, the more you see yourself, and the more you see yourself, the more you see you need him. And then I think over the years, the win is to be like, bro, I've needed way more grace than I've ever known.
100%.
I've needed way more patience. Like, I think, like, growing in your faith is to be like, I trust you completely. Why? Because I see how patient you've been, how kind you've been. You blessed me when I didn't deserve it. You opened doors when I was angry at you. You, like, loved me when I was, like, bitter towards you.
Yep.
You just were steadfast. You had made up your mind. You had tattooed my name in your heart. Like you had engraved my name in the palm of your hand. Yeah. Like they're just like this. Oh, like, how can I not trust you? Like, you've been better to me than I've even been better to myself.
Yeah, Psalm 103, right? Like, God treats us better than we deserve. You know what I mean? And he doesn't treat us the way that our sin actually deserves for us to be treated as. And so, yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing, bro. It's a beautiful thing. And, man, I'm very grateful that I get the opportunity. And I think, like, as I grow more in my marriage and I grow more in the gospel, the more I realize, man, I need a savior, bro. I need a savior. I'm a sinner. Like, I'm not, I don't know, man. I think that's the other thing too. It's just the humility it creates in you when you actually, like I said, there's so much. It
exposes you.
There's so much, bro. My bad, man.
No, that's good. We got to run it back.
You know? I'm down, bro.
Well, I appreciate y'all for joining us again, yet another week. Let us know what y'all thought in the comment section. And until next time, family, peace and grace.
Shaping the code.